And around 2015, we launched our own hypervisor called AHV. The full form of AHV is Acropolis Hypervisor. 2016, we came up with IPO, and that is a time when we entered into Indian market. 2018, we started our journey with subscription-based model, and that's where we have signed our partnership with Lenovo, basically to provide more hardware platform to the customers. 2020, that was a time when the adoption of public cloud was very vital, and every organization was some or the other way using these platforms. That's where we have decided to do partnership with AWS to provide that extension of platform in terms of AWS. We have signed our partnership with Red Hat around 2021 so as to provide Dockers, Kubernetes kind of a platform to the customers. Around 2022, we launched and extended our partnership from public cloud with Azure. And 2022 is also iconic for one reason, that this year XenTegra actually became cloud champion partner of Nutanix. And look at the consistency, they have continued in 2023 as well. So thank you XenTegra for being partner with Nutanix. Now, last one decade, if you look at any presentation, we have been talking about IT as a business enabler. And the entire conversation was going towards the IT transformation projects. But today when we do conversation with the IT leaders, it is slightly shifting towards the business outcome. So that's how if you look at all the IT outcomes are combined with business outcomes. Now, how do we achieve all these IT transformation projects? The first step starts with infrastructure modernization, and that's where it leads to data center modernization. So what Nutanix does is, if you look at your today's legacy infrastructure which is there in data center, you end up spending 80% of time just to manage it, and only 20% time you put it on innovation. So what Nutanix did is, they have tried to consolidate this infrastructure. So your compute layer, your SAN switch, and your storage combined together into single physical infrastructure. On top of that, you have hypervisor and your apps are running on top of that. Then Nutanix, as I mentioned about the AHV hypervisor, has made it community. And everything is integrated into one box now. The biggest advantage of doing so is the manageability. You are reducing your data center footprint of infrastructure, and everybody today is talking about carbon footprint as well. So this helps in reducing your carbon footprint. And all of this is managed through one single console called Prism. So if I'll give you an example, let's say conglomerate, they will have multiple entities, multiple geography presence, and obviously they will have multiple data centers. All those multiple data centers and different geography infrastructure can be managed through only one console, which is Prism. So once we modernize our infrastructure, once we modernize our data center, the next step is hybrid cloud. If you look at any of these studies, whether it is Gartner, Forrester, IDCs, and when they spoke to the IT leaders, they're saying that way forward is hybrid cloud. Almost 74% of the respondents said that. So how do you build hybrid cloud with Nutanix? So the first step, as I mentioned about your infrastructure modernization, that's where you build HCI. We provide all the choices of hardware available across the world. You have a choice of hypervisor as well. Everything is managed through Prism Console. So the advantage of Prism Console is not only the manageability, but it does three things. One is operational automation. Second is one-click management. So when I say one-click management, first of all, Nutanix is a software company, and we have a lot of strategic tie-up with hardware vendors. But when I talk about one-click upgrade, it is applicable to hardware also, which is beneath Nutanix software. And the last one is automation. So till date, the moment I was talking about HCI, it was taking care of your block storages. Then customer gave us feedback saying that we also have another infrastructure which is NAS storage. How do we build that? So we have built a software which is called File, which is enabled on top of your investment of HCI, and you can get NAS functionality. Now we have extended it beyond. You can do a lot of file analytics also, and you can generate your anomalies and see how users are using that entire infrastructure, what kind of files they are saving, and what kind of behavior which is shown in the entire infrastructure. Now we have extended this one-click upgrade, which is only limited to software and hardware, to the DR side also. I'm sure all of you, the IT fraternity, will agree with me. The moment you have to do DR drill, I think there are some 35 to 40 steps which you have to take care. And you have to keep your fingers crossed to see whether it is happening right or wrong, correct? So what Nutanix does is, with the help of one click, so you will create all those policy, you just click that button and your DR drill is done. So once we do this, we have also enabled one more layer of security. So this security is called micro-segmentation. I'll give you certain use cases for micro-segmentation. One use case can be, let's say you are a conglomerate and you have a centralized IT arm which is hosting all those other group companies. But all those group companies are pertaining to different industry. Then obviously they will have different compliance to adhere with. So you will host all those infrastructure into common data center, but you will segregate and partition logically within the same infrastructure. So this is one use case. The second use case, when it comes to VDI, again I'll talk about Citrix here. We have a lot of customers, especially BPOs and KPOs, wherein they are hosting your banking customers, your BFSI customer, your government customers onto the same infrastructure of the VDI. So thereby you can also logically partition those different user groups from the same infrastructure. So that is another use case for this. Then it comes to automation. Now this is primarily applicable to IT/ITES organization, where the change request is very high. You need to create a lot of virtual machines. You need your DevOps team, your application team, keep demanding those virtual machines from the infrastructure team. And when we talk about the SLAs, to provide this infrastructure to those teams, it is generally between 3 to 4 days if you are lucky. Otherwise, sometimes it goes in weeks also because of multiple department or multiple team dependencies. So that's how we came up with a solution called CAM, Cloud Application Lifecycle Management. What it does is, with the help of it, you can create blueprints. So you can create those blueprints, keep it ready, and this tool also integrate with your ITSM tools like, for example, ServiceNow. So now you're giving that complete control to the user. So let's say I'm a user, I want that virtual machine. I'll put a request in ServiceNow. Once it goes through the entire approval process, it will trigger CAM. And the moment it will trigger CAM, it will create all those policies, combine all those things which are required in terms of operating system, database, etc. and give that virtual machine back to the user. So if I talk about 3 to 4 days, it has reduced to almost 3 to 4 hours now. The classic example is RBL Bank. We have public case study with them. So before implementing this CAM solution, it was taking almost 7 to 8 days. And today it does not take more than a day. So that's the business advantage which it's bringing.
Just one thing.
Yeah.
Is it like a workflow automation, right? Which is you are basically automating the whole workflow from end to end.
Absolutely.
Creating a basically machine. So there is a set template. You basically use the template and you can customize any workflow, or it is just for the VM creation.
You can customize a lot of other things also.
Absolutely. Then obviously it will be much more useful.
Yeah. So these are the blueprint which I was talking about. This is how you trigger. Virtual machines are created, and through the flow, all those security policies are also applied to these virtual machines. Then we are extending this entire thing to the public cloud. Now, a lot of you will have questions that public cloud will use different hypervisor. We are using AHP as a hypervisor. Then how do you integrate and talk to each other? So the solution is, if you take bare metal from, let's say, Azure or AWS, and you have on-prem Nutanix, because both are using same operating system, which is called AOS, Acropolis operating system, and that's where you are able to integrate and talk to each other because it is on the same platform. So this is how you build your hybrid cloud. The another problem statement which is coming from the customer side is that we are solving infrastructure problem by talking about all these modules of hybrid cloud. But what about my database? So that's where Nutanix has developed a product called ERA, E-R-A. What ERA does, in any large conglomerate, they will be using multiple different types of databases and different versions of databases. If I have to name few, let's say Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL, MongoDB, MariaDB, Postgres, SAP HANA. All these are certified to run on ERA. So ERA creates an encapsulation layer on top of all these different databases, gives you a single window to do patching, provisioning, and copy data management. So with all those solutions, if I just talk about Nutanix India, we are proud of achieving our numbers 14 quarters in a row. As per IDC, we are leader in the market 15 quarters in a row. We hold 2/3 of market share in India. Total customer base in India is around 1300 plus. Our tenure of leadership team is 4 year plus. I have completed 4 years recently. And the last one is the AHV adoption. Because if you recollect, I spoke about AHV came into industry in 2015, while competition was there from many decades in the industry, right? So a lot of customers started questioning saying that whether this product is stable, whether this product will be able to provide all the enterprise class functionality which is required for any organization. Today, as I speak, our adoption of AHV worldwide is 93%. And in India, it is almost touching 96%. Now I'll talk about two case studies. First case study is coexistence with cloud. A customer who has on-prem infra, who also has got public cloud spend. Now how does Nutanix help that kind of a customer? So I'm talking about a logistic company headquartered in Mumbai. They have got 7 data centers, 7 DRs and 14 robo sites. Their IT challenge that came to us was cost, management and skilled resources, especially on those robo sites. The business challenge was faster GTM and inorganic acquisition. They have been acquiring a lot of companies. Now integrating those companies into the existing infrastructure becomes another pain. So the proposed solution from Nutanix was, first, modernize your data center with the help of HCI and the other solution which I spoke about. Second, how do you build your, let's say, starting with DR on public cloud? And that entire solution